Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about 10 of the worst offenses that you could be doing in your home unknowingly. And I'm here to correct it so that you don't have to make these mistakes. Follow me. There's an art to designing a home that feels elevated, intentional, and effortlessly chic. And today I'm going to dive into the top 10 mistakes people are making without even realizing. These aren't just personal preferences, they're choices that can really cheapen the look of your home, making daily living more difficult. And you guys know more than anyone that we want to have things that are timeless and beautiful and seamless. So let's talk about it. Let's start with one of the most overlooked but crucial elements of a well-designed home, your sofa. So how can your sofa look cheap? Well, it can actually turn into a problem if you don't have support. And by that, I mean a sofa that is long, that has 4 legs, and doesn't have middle support. Middle support sustains your sofa to keep its shape so it doesn't start to bow. This might seem like a small detail, but if you are in the middle of purchasing a sofa, the first thing you want to look at is what is the support system of this sofa, and stay away from anything that doesn't have the crucial components of a well-structured piece. The last thing you want is your sofa to start sagging, to be unstructured, and eventually even break. So you must check your sofa from the top, but also from the bottom when you are making purchases. Some sofas, by the way, that are priced high don't necessarily have this middle support. So the price is not even an indicator. It is your eye that's going to catch this so that you don't make this critical mistake. Instead, I recommend a sofa with a sturdy, well-structured frame, something possibly vintage. This is why I go to many estate sales, and a lot of the sofas that I have purchased for my homes in the past have been vintage, to be honest, because they are so well made and they're so heavy. So if you want something that's going to stand the test of time, I would shop vintage. I would shop at flea markets. I would shop on eBay and find something maybe from the 70s or maybe from the 80s that you know is very well made. If not, inspect and look at the suspension system. Think timeless structured silhouette with elegant tailored upholstery. 2, feather-filled sofas. Now let's talk about cushions. 100% feather-filled sofas are the epitome of high maintenance living. You guys have heard about the cloud sofa from RH, and in many instances I get called by clients who are at their wits' end because they cannot fluff the sofa enough. Yes, it feels like a cloud when you fall into it, but it just looks unkept and it looks messy at all times. And you don't want that in a formal living space. You don't even want that in a family room, in my opinion. You want something that is foam wrapped with down. That is the secret that interior designers use. They use a medium dense foam and wrap it with feathers. And that is how we make all of our custom pieces. Custom pieces have notoriously well-made cushions because people think about them elaborately, and it's not just for sale, it's for comfort, it's for design, and it's for use. So when you are purchasing your sofa, sit down, see if it's comfortable. If it's very, very firm, it means it's probably all foam. And if you're okay with a very firm sofa, an all foam sofa, it probably stands the test of time in that it won't start to, create shapes of your booty on the sofa. It has come to my attention that 33% of you are subscribed, and I want to thank you. That means a great deal to me. However, the other almost 70% watch this channel regularly but are not subscribed. It may be that you have forgotten, or perhaps it hasn't crossed your mind, but if you just were to take this little second to click that subscribe button, it doesn't cost a thing. I will make the pledge and I will make the promise to give you better and more interesting content every week, week after week. Okay, next is unframed prints. Some of us buy beautiful prints and we just pop them on the walls. Unfortunately, that's just not refined enough. I think that, investing in a frame, even if it's not an expensive frame, makes a huge difference. If you have artwork from your children that you have just placed on the wall, perhaps it would be nice to put it in a frame. It just makes it a little bit more refined, a little bit more proper, a little bit more elevated. And, taping things, I think, look cute if you have a memo board. So if you have a big piece of corkboard, I love pinning and tacking down photos and invitations and inspiration, and it's all contained on a corkboard. But other than that, if you have art of any kind, if you have prints of any kind, it's better to have them framed. And even if you have canvas that you would like to put on the wall unframed, as I do, what we typically do is we don't just place the unframed canvas on the wall. We do a minimal, almost undetectable frame around the periphery, around the edge of the canvas, so that it has a nice finished edge. My next one is a pet peeve of mine, and it cannot remain, and those are vertical blinds. With today's plethora of products in terms of blinds that can be purchased on Amazon, that are easy and accessible and affordable, I think vertical blinds have seen their moment. They must rest in peace. Rest in peace, vertical blinds. May you never return to Earth, and perhaps find a home somewhere in another galaxy. So that is a decor choice that I think instantly dates your home. If you have it, remove it. It's very simple to buy alternatives, whether they're rolling, whether they're beautiful Roman shades, whether you do curtains, whether you do sheer curtains. There are so many great ways of elevating your home and removing, even if you're in a rental, those vertical blinds. Save them though for your landlord when you leave, so that he can use them all over again. Speaking of curtains and blinds and issues that you may be having, well, I am just a phone call away. I have met hundreds of you, I kid you not. It has been life-changing to be able to connect one-on-one with my favorite people. Each one of you, by the way, has incredible taste. You guys have the best taste. And I realize, I'm like, how is it that we all have the same taste? And that's because we're the same. We're the same person. And that's why I love you guys so much, because we love the same things. We have the same taste. And meeting you has been an honor. So if you guys have a dilemma, whether it be a small placement of furniture or colors or fabrics you want to choose or pieces of furniture you're debating about, you can easily call me for a 20-minute or longer consultation by clicking the expert link in the description section. My calendar will pop up and we can book a Zoom consultation. See-through storage. Now, hear me out. I love see-through storage when it's done intentionally. For example, if you have a garage and you need to assort things, you can definitely do see-through storage. It's a little bit more bothersome to the eye because you see everything, but if you're the kind of person who needs to see it to remember, that's absolutely perfectly fine. And after all, it's your garage. But if you want to do something that's a little bit more clean, a little bit more elevated, then I recommend buying large labels and placing them on your bins and identifying what is in those bins. However, there's something else that I've seen done before, which I don't recommend. Clear bins for shoes. Unless the shoes are perfectly organized, they just feel a little cluttered. And so what I recommend and what we do for some of our clients is that we buy bins that are completely covered, whether it's fabric or whether it's just a beautiful shoebox that has nothing on it and it's all uniform. We take a Polaroid of the client's shoes and then we place the Polaroid on the box. That just looks really chic. So the concept is the same. You know what's in the box, but it's done in a beautiful, tasteful way. Frameless mirrors. I have an issue with them. I just think unless they're done in a very intentional way, which is part of the design element and has been thought out, then having a frameless mirror does no good to anyone. They just look uninspiring, they look generic, and I would love to see framed mirrors rather than a plain mirror. If you're doing an art wall with unframed mirrors that tells a story, that's different. I'm talking about you have a mirror, it's placed on your wall, and it's just blah. So in those cases, I would opt to swap them out for something that maybe is vintage, that has a little bit of history, or I would just buy a framed mirror instead. Mirrors can be actually relatively inexpensive. I have found a plethora of them online that are very, very affordable and can look extremely chic. In fact, I will link a few of them in the description section because I have found some great sources that I think would be very helpful to you guys if you're doing bathroom updates. Asymmetrical mirrors that can look great above a vanity. Those I have tried and true tested ones that I have personally vetted, and I will share those with you below. Okay, flannel sheets and blankets. This is going to be controversial for those of you that live in Minnesota or somewhere very cold, but they are not as comfortable in my opinion, and they just feel sometimes chalkboard-like, and they tend to pill a little bit, and they tend to fade, and they sort of look worn. So while they might feel cozy for a cabin retreat, they tend to pill and fade, as I mentioned, and look worn out. So unless someone has a source for incredible flannel sheets that don't have that effect, I would love for you guys to sound off. Typically, I have found them to be problematic, and for that reason, I would eliminate them from your home. For an elevated bedroom, instead, I always recommend investing in high thread count cotton, linen or bamboo sheets. They're comfortable against the skin. They look great on your bed. They breathe better. They drape beautifully, and they will add that beautiful touch. Next problem is ruffled anything. Now, this is also going to be controversial. Remember, these are just suggestions. If you have ruffled everywhere, I love it. I love what you love, and I love embracing what you enjoy. But on the whole, en général, I am speaking to those that have a lot of ruffles. So ruffles belong in more of a vintage dress, in my opinion, than in a modern home. So if you have a very traditional home and you've got some ruffled pillows, that's okay. But in general, I would tend to stay away from ruffled curtains and ruffled bedding. I find them to look very dated very quickly, excessively fussy, a little too shabby chic. And I think those of you who are subscribed to this channel are not shabby chic. So that probably would work better in a shabby chic space. So this is why I would say to eliminate. Instead, opt for clean lines and structured textiles. Tailored curtains I love, the ripple fold I love in a curtain because it keeps its beauty and it keeps its structure, and things don't look sloppy. Things need to look very, in my opinion, well put together. You know, sleek duvets and crisp upholstery always look more refined and timeless. So this is also going to be controversial. Now, if you have this color in your home, please don't sound off and be mad at me. I personally don't love this color. I don't know why. I don't have it anywhere, and I used to own a children's boutique, and I avoided this color then, and I'm avoiding this color now. I don't know what it is about orange, but orange anything to me should be on a tree. It just needs to be on a tree or on an Hermes box. Even the Hermes bags that hold your purses are no longer orange. So that says something. By the way, the orange on the Hermes box was done by default because when they were making their boxes, there was a shortage due to the war of colored boxes, and they just picked the one that was there. What does that tell you? Anyhow, it's bold, overwhelming, and incredibly difficult to integrate into an elegant space. I would say that if you have orange in a mid-century home that is next to brown, that would be an exception, because that looks very, very chic. But, you know, in your everyday house, in your modern living, it often clashes with a lot of things. And I would rather see orange in your kitchen in a beautiful bowl of oranges or something like that, rather than just pillows that are orange or a rug that's orange. Instead, if you crave warmth, consider rust, terracottas, deep caramels. Those speak to me a lot more. And these colors offer richness without the visual assault of bright orange. Okay, I left the last as not my favorite, as my least favorite. Okay, for the biggest offense of all. And this one I'm not even going to take back. This one I'm not even going to apologize for. And that is tall headboards. No, guys, no, I'm sorry, I don't love it. I'm going to take a stance. I'm going to say it with a straight face, and I'm unapologetically telling you I don't like it. We're not in Vegas. We don't need high headboards. There was a time in the 90s where everybody thought, oh, how fun. Let's do a tall headboard with tufting and everything. But I have to tell you, it didn't look good then. It doesn't look good now. It's just too tall. There is no scale to it. That's why I dislike it. I would rather you had something that was more special. The specialness of the piece cannot be its height. That can't be a thing. It's like the dining room chairs that have this long back for no reason. I don't like those either. So think about it. If you have a tall headboard, maybe you can consider getting rid of it, at least for me. Hopefully you guys don't, but if you do, I still love you. And yes, I will still love you with a tall headboard. Thank you for joining me on this episode of The Red Elevator. I hope you like this one. We want to do something a little bit different. And if you agree with me on any of these points, I need to know. Please sound off. Love you, and I'll see you next week right here on The Red Elevator.